Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing good, chilling, and excited to get to this episode. This is a true crime episode. All three stories we're going to be covering today are missing persons or murdered. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. The first one is going to be the disappearance of Anthonette Cayedito, who has been missing for quite some time. It's a very, very sad case. Her full name is Anthonette Christine Cayedito. Location is Gallup, New Mexico. Date April 6, 1986. So her date of birth is December 25th, 1976. Her height at the time was 4 feet 7 inches. Her weight was 55 pounds. Characteristics: she was Caucasian, Italian, Native American, female minor with brown hair and brown eyes. She has moles on her right cheek, nose, ankle, and back. She has scars on her knee and lip. So 9-year-old Anthonette Cayedito disappeared on April 6, 1986. When her mother Penny awoke that morning, she was surprised to find out that Anthonette was not in the house. She started to panic after checking with every single person in the neighborhood, and nobody saw her. The police and her neighbors searched around the surrounding foothills and found no trace of her. Authorities were almost certain as she was kidnapped at the middle of the night. Police were capable of offering little to bolster her parents' hope of Anthonette being found alive. After a year passed, a dramatic call for help came into the Gallup police station. A feminine voice on the phone claimed to be Anthonette, stating that she was in Albuquerque, which is in New Mexico. Before she could tell the dispatcher exactly where she was, an unidentified male said to her, "Who said you could use the phone?" The girl screamed and the call ended. When the police played a recording of the call to Penny, she was certain that the voice was Anthonette's. She said that she was especially certain based on the way the girl said her name. However, she did not recognize the man's voice. The police tried to trace the call but were unsuccessful. The call gave her family hope that she may still be alive. 5 years later, after age-progressed photographs of Anthonette were released, a waitress came forward, believing that she saw her at her restaurant. She recalled serving a table with a male, a female, and a girl around the age of 14 or 15. She noted that they had rather unkempt appearances, possibly from struggling with her. The girl apparently dropped her utensils on the floor intentionally, and when the waitress would try to pick them up for her, she grabbed her hand. However, she thought nothing of it and went about her business. The male, female, and girl left the restaurant. As the waitress cleared the table, she noticed a napkin under the girl's plate with the message, "Please help me, call the police." How crazy, guys. I mean, to be this 9-year-old little girl and to be abducted from your home, and then that you first try, you call, the police department and you say, "Hey, it's me. I'm here in Albuquerque." And they couldn't trace the call, and then to have that waitress and she didn't understand. And it just kind of, in that aspect, it kind of goes to show you that maybe if you are in a situation like that, to be a little bit more wary. If something's kind of off, if a child is, kind of getting your attention, you should probably try to look into that. But oh my God, and then this, to leave that note, but to know that there's a chance that you'll never be seen again. And she hasn't. She's still missing. It's so crazy. It's very sad. So the sighting also brought some hope to Anthonette's family. 1 month later, investigators decided to re-interview witnesses involved in the case. They spoke to her sister Wendy, who was 5 at the time, now 10. So 5 years had gone by when they re-interviewed her. She told investigators that she had actually witnessed Anthonette's abduction. Wendy said that at about 3 a.m., there was a knock at the door. When Anthonette went to answer it, the person said that it was Uncle Joe. Two men then grabbed her. When asked why she hadn't come forward sooner, Wendy said that she was scared and afraid that she would get in trouble. Investigators cleared Uncle Joe, who was married to Penny's sister at the time. This, however, leads them to believe that the abductors knew the family. They either knew the family or had been stalking the family to find out information to lure that little girl. It is interesting, though, because when you look at something and you say they knew the family, to me, that means they knew the family on a different type of level. You know about them, you're on a friend type basis, or you're a coworker, or something similar to that. And the fact that they have never really been able to pinpoint really any suspects is really just insane. Oh man, and it's not unheard of. I mean, we all know child sex trafficking is a thing. There's been plenty of cases where actually children have been held even just by a couple, which is just bizarre. And that's the sad part is those, in my opinion, are the two situations I can see her being in. A, she's either in, she was abducted and, brought into the sex slave industry, or she was abducted and it was a similar situation to, I can't remember um, who it was, but her kidnappers was this couple, and the one guy thought he was Jesus and all this crazy shit. But that's the kind of situation I can see her in as well, if it's not sex trafficking, which is equally as scary. I mean, oh my God! You don't really see how smart that little girl was to call the police and then to leave that missing that note on the napkin, and to even before that had tried to get a reaction, get attention from your waitress. I mean, that was very, very smart, and it's really, really sad that this little girl tried really hard and still is not solved. So in 1992, Penny went to a Navajo medicine woman in hopes of learning more about Antoinette's whereabouts. She did a special ceremony that is done in hopes of contacting the spirit of a missing person. According to her, Antoinette is still alive and may have a child. She is being held against her will somewhere in the southwest United States. That's so crazy. Investigators and Antoinette's family are still searching for her and hope that she is still alive. So the suspects, Antoinette's abductors, are believed to be two adult males based on that what Wendy witnessed, which is her sister. They may know the family as they claim that they were her Uncle Joe, but you don't need to know the family. You might even just need to know Uncle Joe, you don't even really need to know that person. That's the scary part. Is like if her abductors even just knew of one of the family members' name. That's all they needed. They didn't have to be close with them. So that's crazy. However, the couple with the girl resembling her witnessed by the waitress were a man and a woman who were described as rather unkempt. And that is what made me think of the other situation. And she ended up, I believe she ended up being rescued, the other little girl. That reminded me of the situation that Antoinette could be in right now. Um, So, I don't know, man. It is unsolved. Investigators now believe that due to the passage of time, Antoinette is deceased. If she is alive, she would be 42 years old. Antoinette's mother, Penny, eventually passed away in 1999. Before her death, the police had wanted to question her again about Antoinette's disappearance, but her death complicated their investigation. Police now believe she knew more about Antoinette's abduction than she had told, as she had failed a polygraph test and reportedly made expensive purchases following her disappearance. There were also allegations that she was involved in selling drugs, though this has not been confirmed. Antoinette's father, Anthony, passed away in 2012, which is really sad if her mother did end up selling her for drugs. But here's the other thing too: if her mother was involved in selling drugs, that's a whole nother ball game. So if she pissed off the wrong people, that could be why one of her children got abducted. I mean, you never know. It's very scary. I wish that her mother wouldn't have died before police were able to question her more, because I would love to have found out more about that. This case freaks me out because this little girl really tried. She really tried 2 times that were like really big things where, you know what I mean? The waitress one just blows my mind. So I have a picture from the FBI on their wanted. It's a poster. So that it shows you what she looked like when she went missing and what she would look like now. So here is the missing persons poster. So again, 42 years old. That's how old she would be right now. Just crazy. All this time goes by and we still don't know. So I hope that we will solve this case one day. But unfortunately, she's 42 now. She disappeared at 9. It's going to be really hard to find her. But again, this is a picture, an age progressed photo to 36 years old. So if you are in the New Mexico area, or even just anywhere in the United States, anywhere in the world, really, just please keep an eye out, because this is still an unsolved case, and there is a chance. There's always a chance that these people are still alive and being just held against their will. I truly believe that that's a bigger thing than we tend to think. So that's what I have on Anthonette Christine Cayedito. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Next up, we have the Lost Girls of Panama. So, the Lost Girls. The unsettling fate of Chris Kremers, and Lisa Ann Froon. Foul play has never been ruled out entirely in the case of Dutch Panama hikers Chris and Lisa Ann. Disconcerting evidence surrounds their story, raising questions as to whether there is a possible suspect or suspects in the girls' disappearance and eventual deaths. Generally, an incident like this can be explained away by the natural environmental elements and lack of wilderness survival skills, but there is much more to this than simply lost and found. I am going to go ahead and put a picture up of the girls so that you guys can see a picture of them. These are the two missing, and I believe their bodies were found. So Lisa Ann Froon, 22, and Chris Kremers, 21, were spending their time together after graduating from a Dutch university. They saved up enough money to visit the country of Panama, where they planned on sightseeing, learning Spanish, and volunteering with local children. They had made arrangements to stay with family in the village of Boquete while they attended their Spanish program. However, that plan never came to fruition, and instead of the life-changing adventure that the girls had dreamed of, their fates ended up shrouded in mystery and tragedy. The Piancetta, trail is a well-traveled area through heavily wooded, rugged terrain along the border of Costa Rica. In the early morning of April 1st, 2014, Lisa Ann and Chris decided to take a casual hike along the trail with their host family's dog, Azul. They packed only what they needed for a brief day's hike, including swimsuits, sunglasses, and their camera to take pictures of the breathtaking scenery, which I just want to point out, thank God they took their camera. And this story is going to really show you guys why it's important. And I think, honestly, you never think about it, but it's really important to always have some sort of camera on you at all times, because if something happens to you, there's a chance that something like this can happen. And there's been tons of other stories where, things have come up from cameras being found. So they would never be seen alive again. Azul soon returned to the home of the host family without the girls. Friends and family members stopped receiving calls, texts, or Facebook updates shortly after the girls had left for the trail. They were reported missing the following day. An extensive search was organized by the Panamanian authorities with the help of locals, native tribes, scent dogs, emergency aircraft, and signal flares. There was no sign of the missing women. The only clue authorities had to go on was the eyewitness account of the girls having breakfast with two unidentified men that morning. However, the identities of the men were never confirmed. Photos on their camera showed that the girls had hiked beyond the lookout point where most tourists would normally turn around. At 4:39 p.m., they made their first attempt to call emergency services, but reception was too poor for the call to go through, of course. Chris and Lisa Ann's phone records revealed attempted calls for help several times on April 1st and more calls made throughout the following days. By April 5th, it was apparent that Lisa Ann's battery was dead and that there was 77 failed access attempts on Chris's iPhone. Was Lisa Ann trying to access the phone because Chris was already dead, or was somebody else involved? Eventually, heartbreaking discoveries were made of the girls' remains. Eerie clues were found among their belongings, which leads authorities in several different directions. What adds a possible criminal element to this case is a certain evidence almost seems to point towards someone else being involved. The backpack. 10 weeks after Chris and Lisa Ann disappeared, a local turned in a blue backpack near Rice Paddy. It contained the camera, sunglasses, $83, a passport, water bottle, and 2 bras that Lisa Ann had brought along with her. Both cell phones were also inside the backpack. It seems strange that they would not have these items with them, as they could still be useful. Had the girls given up on ever making it out alive? I think what happened with the backpack is that somebody else had the backpack and put all the items that they owned with and had on them at the time. I think that they put that into that backpack and then walked the backpack to another area and disposed of the backpack that way. Because I do think that's odd. The rice paddy itself was a sign of civilization. The village of Alto Romero is not that far away. The girls would have been able to find help there. Who abandoned the backpack, where it was found, and why? And that's another reason I think that it was abandoned by somebody who was involved. I don't think the girls took the backpack there or, something of that sort. I think that the backpack was moved and the items were put in the backpack and moved. So red hair. On April 8th, the camera showed a series of 90 flash photos taken over the span of 3 hours in the dark. This is why it's good to have your camera. It's widely believed that they were using the flash on their camera to help them see where they were going. However, some speculate that they could have been in danger at this point or were possibly being followed and were attempting to take photographic evidence of their encounter. And I think that's what they were doing. Honestly, if I'm trying to picture myself in this situation, I think what happened with this section is that it was to the point where something was wrong. Someone was after them. Someone was involved. Someone was making them feel threatened to the point where they did get out that camera, because 90 flash photos taken over a span of 3 hours, I think, was them trying to get any kind of evidence of where they were, just based off where you were in the woods and in the trail. And 2, if there was someone following them and if there was somebody there who was putting their lives in danger, they wanted to get a shot of that. So the strangest photo in the series, though, seemingly shows the back of Chris's head, evident by her signature red hair, which looks blonde to me, but it's like strawberry blonde. Some have even claimed to be able to see blood in the photo. Did Lisa Ann take it? Was Chris injured or possibly killed at this point? Or did someone else take the photo after assaulting and murdering the girls? I am going to pull up this image of the back of her head. So this is the image that was found on the camera. I personally do not see blood. It is an odd photo. Clearly, whoever took the photo was very close up on her, or literally right behind her. Like, that camera had to be pretty much right up on her head. In my opinion, that is it's really creepy to think about that was one of the pictures. But again, in my theory of if the girls were trying to use the flash as light, but also capture whatever, that could explain it. That could also explain this photo. If so this, I think they said this is Chris. So if Lisa Ann was behind her, super close, they were like trying to stick together, make it through these woods, try to find their way out, or get away from whoever was with them or following them or whatever. I think that maybe it was an accidental thing. where it was maybe they got spooked and Lisa Ann hit the button. So that's my personal theory on this specific photo. Just super creepy though. Just super creepy. So deleted photo. Only one photo was deleted from the camera. Since the file names were numbered, investigators could see that photo number 509 was missing. Strangely, this photo was located between the last daylight photo taken on April 1st and the first photo in the nighttime series taken on April 8th. Number 509 has never been recovered. My theory on that is that, again, if they started to try to take pictures, I bet you that picture has a huge fucking clue. I bet you that picture has and holds the key to whatever killed those girls. Whether that be a person, whether that be whatever. And I think it was. I really do. I think they were murdered. I think that it was. And I think that they did try. I think the camera was trying, they were trying to get all those photos to try to, and I think again they did. And I think after they were dead, whoever killed them went back through, deleted that one photo because that was the only photo that maybe had him, her, a clue, whatever in it. Just so creepy though. Could it have held the key to what happened to the girls and proved the theory of foul play? 2 months later, after the discovery of the backpack, clothing and bones were finally found. Only 2 bones, a partial pelvis bone and a rib bone, were ever linked to Chris Kremers. A total of 33 widely scattered human bones were recovered. A shoe was also found with Lisa Ann's foot still inside. Interestingly, Lisa Ann's skin was attached and in an early stage of decomposition, which makes it even more of a challenge when trying to determine her actual time of death. The elements of pianista alone could be responsible for what happened in the case. Parasites in the water, dysentery, toxic plants and fruits, venomous animals or insects, as well as starvation are all plausible causes of death for the inexperienced hiker. It is plausible that during the 10 days the girls were presumed alive and lost, they just couldn't find safe food and water to live off of, could no longer think logically, got injured, and succumbed. If there is ever a solid conclusion to this tragic story, I don't believe we are close enough to finding it. And it's sad. I really hope that one day they will solve this case because it's unreal. I mean, it's just creepy. The backpack throws me off and the pictures throw me off. That's what throws me off. That's what makes me think that it wasn't an animal. It was actually a human being. So what do you guys say? The last true crime story we're going to talk about today is the disturbing abduction of Heather Teague, which this one is another creepy one, guys. Super creepy. She was abducted while sunbathing. Suspect dies before questioning. So Heather was born on April 25th, 1972, and grew up in the state of Kentucky. A Caucasian 23-year-old. At the time of going missing, Heather had long brown hair, green eyes, and visibly flat feet, fallen arches. She was 5'2" and weighed 90 to 100 pounds. Additionally, she had scoliosis, or gradually worsening curvature of her spine. So the disappearance. On August 26, 1995, Heather was sunbathing at a Newburgh Beach in Henderson County, Kentucky. A witness observing the beach area through a telescope from across the Ohio River at approximately 12:45 p.m. told authorities their account. According to this witness, he saw a Caucasian male approach Heather, allegedly grabbed her by the hair, and dragged her into the woods off of Newburgh Beach at gunpoint. The witness described this man as approximately 6 foot tall, weighed between 210 and 230 pounds, had brown hair and a bushy brown beard. The witness also described the man as wearing jeans but no shirt, yet also oddly wearing a wig and a mosquito net as well. Following her disappearance, getting reported, well, if he's wearing a wig, how would you know what his actual hair color is. I just want to point that out there. So following her disappearance getting reported, the authorities searched the beach later that day, discovering a part of Heather's red plaid bathing suit near the alleged site of her abduction. While investigators also found additional evidence, nothing pointed them to Heather's whereabouts. Heather has not been seen or heard from since. So it is now 2021, and she went missing in 1995. That was the year I was born. A local farmer who was videotaping unrelated crop vandalism in the area that day caught Heather's car and a red Ford Bronco, which was just down the road on camera. It is unclear, however, if the red Bronco was confirmed to be the same one related to Heather's abduction. But, I mean, it's worth a shot. You know, it could have been. A resident of Henderson County, Kentucky, a man named Marvin Ray Dill, was pulled over during a routine traffic stop following Heather's disappearance. His vehicle was a red and white Ford Bronco, the same car that a witness reported as having parked beside Heather's at the beach. During the traffic stop, in his Ford Bronco, authorities discovered a pair of guns, a pair of knives, a roll of duct tape, rubber gloves, rope, and a hair resembling Heather's. Well, fuck. There you go. There's the killer. Furthermore, the truck also had bloodstains on the inside tailgate. To make his possible involvement even more damning, the composite sketch made of Heather's abductor strongly resembled Dill. In August of 1995, investigators received multiple tips connecting Dill to Heather's disappearance. Following up on the tips, investigators arrived at his home for questioning. Upon arriving, Dill reportedly told his wife to vacate their residence once he learned of their presence on his property. Once she left, Dill promptly committed suicide by shooting himself in the head before authorities could enter his residence. Of course, he did it. He's the killer. For sure. After his suicide, evidence was compiled by prosecutors against Dill, which before being brought before a grand jury. Dill's wife, called as a witness during his phase, soon invoked her Fifth Amendment rights and refused to answer any questions regarding Heather's disappearance. Aside from Dill, another possible suspect in Heather's case is Christopher J. Bello, a native of Henderson, Kentucky, who has pled guilty to attempted involuntary manslaughter in connection to the 1991 shooting death of Catherine Fetzer, serving a prison sentence of 11 to 18 years. Another possible suspect in Teague's case is Christopher J. Oh wait, they literally put that in. They literally put that in twice. But with that being said, in the death of Catherine Fetzer, her body has never been found, but he did confess and he pled guilty. So moreover, he is regarded as a suspect by many people outside law enforcement in the involvement of the disappearance and murders of several other women, including Shailene Marie Farrell, Mary Cousteau, and Christina Porco, though these suspicions are nothing more than theories. Investigators do believe that if Bello had attacked all these other women, it might have to do with the fact that they are greatly resembled Fetzer physically. In Heather's and Fetzer's case, they both had long, dark hair, weighed 100 pounds, and were both 5 foot tall. While Bello was in the general area around the time of Heather's vanishing, he left Kentucky shortly after she disappeared, and on the same day that Dill committed suicide. That's interesting. Interestingly, Dill, Heather, and he shared some acquaintances. Although the witnesses to Heather's abduction consistently identified Dill and not Bello as the abductor, investigators believe that they have circumstantial evidence which ties Bello to the kidnapping. Also, they believe in the possibility that the two men may have worked together, in crime. Heather, surmising that one grabbed Heather while the other drove the getaway car, which would make sense. Would definitely make sense because why? I always say this. Why would Dill commit suicide if he didn't do it? And the fact that he was pulled over makes me think that Dill was the one that grabbed her and that Bello was the one who carried out the work, if they're both involved. But I strongly think it was Dill. I mean, it is interesting that Bello left Kentucky shortly after Heather's disappearance. But if he was out there killing other women in that area, it probably was like, all right, now somebody else just killed somebody, so now they're going to be really on to me. I need to move. I need to go. So that's my thought. I don't think that he really could have had anything to do with it, unless they really do find evidence towards that. Just based off that, just because, I mean, he could have left for the simple fact that, now there was another murder. They're going to be looking for, looking more into that. And so I don't know. That's interesting. Despite the circumstantial evidence they claim to have had, Bello was never charged in connection to Heather's disappearance or any other missing women mentioned earlier except for Fetzer, and no known concrete evidence was found to definitely tie him to Heather's cases or the others. So in February of 2013, Heather's mother filed a lawsuit against the local, state, and federal authorities in connection to the disappearance of her daughter, alleging maleficence and a cover-up. That's interesting. Furthermore, her mother claims that law enforcement put too much focus on the wrong suspect, also failing to follow up on other leads that would have taken the investigation in different directions. The litigation is pending on the matter. As of August 2018, Heather's disappearance remains unsolved. Due to the circumstances involved in her case, foul play is suspected. I have no doubt in my mind that this person was kidnapped and murdered. I do not believe that she is still alive, just based on the fact that Dill committed suicide and that there was blood found in the back of his truck, along with with guns and knives and duct tape and all this. I think that they seriously did kidnap her, torture her, and eventually kill her. And I think he killed himself because he knew that they were going to catch him. They were going to put him in jail for this because he was the biggest lead that they had, I feel. And I feel like her mother has a point. If they would have done things differently, they might have had him. They might have been able to solve it, because if he killed himself, that's the only person that knows where her body is. And without a body, you can't close a missing persons case and move on to, okay, let's focus this homicide, right? So if anyone out there knows even the tiniest, seemingly insignificant clue to Heather's fate, please use one of the contacts below. And that is Kentucky State Police at 270-826-3312. Or you can contact Sarah Teague, which is Heather's mother, 270-824-8343. You can even call NAMUS Regional Program Specialist Amy Hobbs, 865-235-6523. And it's just so sad. It's really sad, and I hope that they do solve this case, and that they, I really do. I hope that they, but I don't think they will, because I think the actual murderer has committed suicide. I don't think it was Bello in jail. I think he definitely killed those other women, and I didn't even read into those cases. But I definitely think that Dill was the murderer in this case. So those were 3 true crime cases of missing or murdered people that we talked about, and super crazy, guys. Which one really bugs you guys the most? The Anthonette bugs me, because I feel bad, because it's like they should have had her. They should have got her back, like they should have got her. She gave them 2 huge opportunities to save her, and they didn't. So that one really gets me. But anyway, guys, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Please be safe out there. This is a crazy world. Oh my gosh. And as always, stay woke. Peace out, guys.